You tune into the Sportscast with Ryan, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Ryan, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in. It's Watson's Playbook here, episode 43. We got a good show for you today. Spotlight of the week, we're going to discuss an amazing quarterback that is leaving the game of the NFL and retiring, Drew Brees. Before we get into that, though, Jeff is on here with me. Hey, Jeff. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. The snow is melting and sun's out, so it's all pretty good. Just busy.
Yeah, you've showed me the pictures on your social media, too, about all that snow you guys got, and that's insane. I was dumbfounded by how much snow was on your car inside the parking garage. Like covered.
Yeah, it was the fourth largest blizzard in state history. As soon as it hit, which was I think Saturday midday, we pretty much had it all day Saturday, all night, and then the next day, I think it was mostly all day Sunday as well. And then I want to say Monday afternoon, the sun was out. The streets were cleared. The snow started melting. So I went out and took some photos of after all of it and everything. But yeah, the snow, the funny thing is the snow plows here are, they're like dump trucks. So it's literally like a dump truck just shoveling snow, pushing it off to the side. And it's pretty crazy, but no power loss, no nothing. So
No people freezing to death, and
you had some power outages, but nothing extreme, nothing that a thunderstorm wouldn't cause or something like that. So.
We had some a storm that blew through. It was gone within 30 minutes, but it came through the other day. And as I'm driving down the street at work, a lightning had struck a telephone pole literally a block away from me. I saw it just. All the lights went out, sparks are flying everywhere. That's pretty crazy. But we're used to that here in Texas. You keep the cold, we'll deal with the thunderstorms here.
Yeah, it's actually the funny thing is this month is the month that gets the most snow. So it's very common in March. Yeah, March gets, in terms of like accumulation total, March is the most, I guess, snow month of the year. Mountains and stuff get it, but I would say like the foothills, like pretty much where we are, this is like the time we get it the most, because I don't think we really got much during like November, December and stuff. But yeah. I mean, it comes and it goes. It's weird. So.
All right, well, let's jump into that spotlight of the week this week. Drew Brees makes it official. We kind of saw this coming. The writing on the wall. You saw some videos a couple weeks ago that broke out with Drew Brees working out extremely hard, and people thought, "Oh, is he making a comeback?" Well, he's not. He sent out a pretty cool video the other day of his 4 kids, kind of announcing that Dad's going to stay home with them and spend more time with them, and that's his official announcement of his retirement from the Saints. Now, I have been blessed to watch a lot of good quarterbacks growing up, and Brett Favre, and the last of John Elway's career, and We've seen plenty of legends come in this game, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and we've seen some good quarterbacks, Antonio Romo, and we've seen a plethora of good quarterbacks, and Drew Brees is always in that list. Drew Brees is a fantastic quarterback. He spent 5 years, Jeff, with San Diego. I didn't know it was 5 years. So he's played 20 years in the NFL altogether, 5 in San Diego, and then 15 with the Saints. So I had to go back and remind myself of kind of why San Diego let him go. So he was drafted by San Diego. He played with LaDainian Thomas, and they had a good team. But after his fifth-year option, he had a shoulder injury that they didn't know if he'd come back from. So they drafted Phillip Rivers, and they sent Drew Brees on to the Saints. So that's kind of interesting. He's kind of had that little bit that people probably don't remember. You don't remember that 5-year stretch. You remember the 15 years he spent with the Saints. And he went to the Saints months after Hurricane Katrina in 2006 that totally devastated New Orleans. And he jumped in like he had lived there for years. He jumped in like he was a neighbor. He helped build back the community and gave back so much to them that I honestly can't think of another athlete that is more important to a city than Drew Brees in New Orleans. And you look at his play on the field, and we'll get into some of his numbers in a second, because they're amazing. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL history. I don't think there's an argument to say he's not. All his numbers that he leads, and if he's not leading, he's number 2 or number 3. But when I think of Drew Brees, not only do I think of that and how consistently he is and how good he is, but I think about what he's done for the city of New Orleans, what he's meant for that city and rebuilding it. After he went to New Orleans, 2006, it was about 4 or 5 years later. It was 4 years later, I believe. He brought them a championship. And that was a very special moment for the city, very special moment for him. But that's what I think about first when I think about Drew Brees. Not only is he a good quarterback, but what he did for the city. And like I said, again, I don't think there's might not be any other athlete in any sport that means more to one city than Drew Brees does to New Orleans.
Yeah. I don't remember. I mean, again, as a Bronco fan, I don't remember watching him play with San Diego. I remember Phillip Rivers more, I think, because I just saw him more, I think. At the time, I kind of was, there was a time where I was kind of on and off watching Denver. It was like, if I was going to catch the game, I was already, I was going to watch it, but if I couldn't catch it, then I didn't. So there, we only play each other twice a year. So I don't remember seeing him that much with San Diego. And I know now, I mean, now that you think about it, San Diego, who knows how good they could have been if he had stayed. Mm-hmm. But I just remember, the one thing I remember is just always worrying, like, on the schedule, are we playing against New Orleans? Oh my gosh, is our defense ready for that kind of game? Are we playing in New Orleans? Are we playing in Denver? Is Drew Brees healthy for the game? Is he not? If he is, we're going to have trouble. I remember he's one of those guys where you were have to constantly kind of second guess and go, is my team good enough to win this game? And there were times where your team was probably good enough to win the game, but it was rare. Like, the guy was really, really good at what he did. And obviously the stats don't lie. We'll get into that in a little bit. But off the bat, the one thing I definitely remember is how much he meant to the city of New Orleans, how much he did for the community. We're not going to go into any his political beliefs or anything like that, because it's irrelevant for this particular topic. So we're just going to really focus on his, what he did for football, and obviously what he did for the city. Because he did a lot of things for the city of New Orleans. I think in hindsight, he will always be New Orleans for life. And there are certain players like that. John Elway's like that. So it's just, and obviously I think Brett Favre will always be a Packer. So it's just that there's players like that. And even Tom Brady, even though he's with Tampa Bay, he will always be a Patriot, and he will always be that city's iconic figure, and will probably like retire there, honestly. So it's just kind of like I could see him having a house in New England, just being a part of that community and stuff. So Drew Brees is a fantastic player, and then off the field in terms of humanitarian efforts, awesome, fantastic. I can't even say anything negative in terms of any of that stuff whatsoever. I'll let you get into some of the stats, some of the accolades that he's accrued over the years.
Right. And one thing that with him is he's never won an MVP, and which is kind of hard to believe because his stats he puts up. I saw something the other day that he has, I believe it's 5 years where he's thrown for 5,000 yards or more, and all the other quarterbacks combined have 7 combined. So you think about that. When you think about an elite quarterback, every year I look at, okay, who's the elite quarterbacks? Drew Brees was always in there. He was always an elite quarterback. Drew Brees, he leads the NFL in passing yards with 80,358. 80,000 yards, Jeff. That's insane. They do throw the ball a lot in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Completions, he's I believe he leads with completions at 6,000. He's second all time in passing touchdowns of 571, and he has a QBR of 98.7 for his career, which is fantastic, and a career completion percentage of 67%. Very accurate. They do throw the ball a lot, like I said, in New Orleans. And if you go back and look at his teams, he didn't have the best offensive weapons. You know what I mean? Like he does now. He's got Kamara. He can throw it too. He's a running back, and he's got Michael Thomas. But this is at the end of his career and injuries, and Michael Thomas has been injured. So he's done this over the years without fantastic weapons. He had Jimmy Graham there for a little bit, and they drafted Reggie Bush, but overall, this is like you said, this is a guy you had to worry about on your schedule. Fantastic person and fantastic for his community. And the one of the biggest things other than rebuilding the community is he helped rebuild athletic facilities in New Orleans, and he started after school programs to get kids to off the street and into programs to be better at athletics and better whatever they were doing. So that was really classy of him, especially a guy that just moved there in 2006, right?
Yeah.
After it was like 4 or 5 months after it happened.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It doesn't seem like it seems like Hurricane Katrina was just a couple years ago. But yeah, man, I don't remember much time with him in San Diego, but
yeah,
in San Diego, in hindsight, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. They did get a good quarterback in Phillip Rivers. Is he better than Drew Brees? No. I do remember one of those San Diego teams. They were like 14-2. Or 15-1. They were supposed to projected to go to the Super Bowl, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. And so it was like, and that was with Drew Brees. So, but they had such a good team. But he comes to New Orleans and he creates his history, and I'm glad he retired this year. I don't think he had anything left in the tank, that shoulder, his injuries. And you go back about the what ifs in his career. Well, think about how the Saints have lost the playoff games. They lost a playoff game against the Rams on a blown pass interference call. Big time, that was the one crucial one. And then they lost the year before that with the missed tackle against the Vikings. It was the last play of the game. Stephon Diggs caught the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The defender totally whiffs, and the Stephon Diggs is down the sideline. Those are just bone, like gut punches to the New Orleans Saints about maybe getting Drew Brees that second championship. And they did win a championship. Drew Brees did win one. and they beat Peyton Manning to do it. So it's not like Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl, Jeff, was against the Bears, and I don't even know their quarterback. Their quarterback was horrible. Their offense was garbage. It was just their defense that was in there, and Peyton Manning got the job done.
It was Trubisky. No, I'm kidding.
What's his name? It's killing me. I can't think of his name. Yeah, he was a bad quarterback. And then
it wasn't Urlacher, was it? Not Urlacher. Dang it.
Urlacher's middle linebacker.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I can picture his face.
I think of it.
Crap. Oh, well.
Anyways.
Urlacher was probably on the team.
Yes, he was. But that's beside the point. So he beat Peyton Manning and the Colts, and he has a ring. And he's a great, fantastic quarterback, top 10 of all time, and he should be a first ballot, no doubter, Hall of Famer. And he's going right into broadcasting. He actually signed a contract, I think, 2 years ago that says, when I retire, I will be in the broadcast booth. So,
who did he sign with? CBS or NBC?
NBC, I believe.
Okay.
He's taking over Monday Night Football, I believe.
Okay.
Sunday or Monday. He's taking Chris Collinsworth's job.
Oh, right. Really?
Yes. And I really like Chris Collinsworth.
I like Chris Collinsworth too. That's interesting.
But I think his contract was up too, and they just kind of.
He probably will move somewhere else, like NFL Network or something. So he'll do games. I just think he won't do them.
Yeah.
On NBC.
Is it Chris Collinsworth or might be Mike Tirico or Al Michaels? I can't remember. They said it today. It's really it's one of those two. It's either Al Michaels, which Al Michaels is going over to Amazon because Amazon's getting the Thursday night games and stuff.
Okay.
But
that's weird. Al Michaels is he's good.
Yeah, he's good. He's getting older. He's like his contract's up, and they didn't want to give him another. He's like 78, I think. But he doesn't want to give it up, and I don't blame him. He's really good. I like Chris Collinsworth. I like a lot of them. Joe Buck. People hate Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
I got a not a good relationship with Joe Buck. So some of that has to do with this. So.
They say he's a little biased.
He a little biased. Yeah, like Yankee fans don't really like Joe Buck. Okay, you want to get into
Brees? I think that we gave you the numbers that he leads the league in, and just the kind of guy he is. So
yeah, I mean, I just think did you go over his QBR as well? Is that career QBR?
That's his career average.
Okay. That's really good. Yeah. I mean, what can you say? I mean, who the heck's going to sit here and say negative things about him? I think, he was the only really like odd thing in his career. He was on the team that was headhunting Brett Favre. I don't know. That's one wrinkle, maybe a little bit in the career. I was on defense, but I mean, it was that he was part of the team.
Yeah,
that the coach ended up getting suspended for like a year or something like that. Which is odd, but I don't think that was necessarily Drew Brees is like doing. I just think he was just a part of a team that was doing that. So if there's any kind of wrinkle, maybe it would be something as along the lines of what happened then, but it still didn't take away him and how good he was because ultimately he kept producing and producing. So
if you ask me, and his career is a lot like Aaron Rodgers, and they both great quarterbacks. They both only have one ring. Aaron Rodgers will probably finish with one ring as well. They're both kind of underachieved for the talent that they have. You look at, I think that's one thing when you look at his head coach, Sean Payton, who's supposed to be this offensive guru, and having Drew Brees, they went 8-8 or 9-7 and 8-8 like 3 years in a row. It's like you have Drew Brees. Why are you not doing better? So underachieving a little bit for his talent as far as getting to the championship, but Aaron Rodgers the same way. I think Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback in my opinion, but I think that's the comp. Is their careers are pretty similar and underlined with underachieving, but to go down as the top 10 quarterback to ever play the game.
Yeah. He's definitely going to be, he's one of those quarterbacks where it's like, he's one of those where you can't, it's kind of like, oh, would you want Drew Brees in this situation? And I don't know anybody who would say no. Right. So he's one of those quarterbacks. Tom Brady's one of those quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is one of those quarterbacks. Even Russell Wilson's one of those quarterbacks. So it's just, there's those kinds of quarterbacks that you go without a doubt based on his body of work over his entire career. I would pick Drew Brees in this situation or in this situation. So, right. I mean, good luck to him. I think that, there's nothing that person needs to, look down upon and say, oh, I could have won 2 rings. I could have won 3 rings. It doesn't matter. Like ultimately you won a championship. You've been consistent. You stuck by a team even through the worst or whatever, and maybe you would have stayed with San Diego if it wasn't for them drafting another quarterback and deciding not to bring you back. So he has loyalty too, which I like. And so, ultimately, he could have gone somewhere and got more money. He could have, he didn't. So, I think this is a great opportunity for him to do the color commentary stuff. I think he's going to make money on that. Obviously, because of how, when his kids made the video, they were talking about him being able to spend more time with them, which is what he wants to do. So I don't think anybody, it's one of those where it's like, it sucks to see someone leave that you saw play for so long. But then again, it's also bittersweet because you ultimately, like he's going to be around in the organization in some way, shape, or form, and yet he's still going to be there for his kids and his family and stuff. So, it's a bittersweet thing, and I think the city of New Orleans obviously also feels that same way. It is bittersweet. I think they knew it was coming. I just think that they were just happy for the times that he gave them, and now we go into this. What is New Orleans going to do now with the quarterback situation? It's going to be very interesting. That means that there's one more thing that they could possibly do. I don't know how they could do it, but maybe they could get Deshaun Watson. Maybe that is one of the teams that could trade. Or, who knows? Who knows? But it's going to be interesting. So
that's a whole nother episode to us to dig into on there.
That'll be the question going forward. What does New Orleans do now? Ultimately.
They did over the free agency. They gave Taysom Hill a 4-year, $140 million contract, but there's some underlining in it. It's all voidable, and it was to move some cap around to give them about $8 more million in cap space. The Saints are actually in not a good cap spot, so they don't have money to go out and just be like, hey, let me throw and get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson or whatever. But like I said,
they'd have to offload a lot of pieces if they did anything. So
that's just a whole nother episode. And we ain't got time for that right now, that discussion. But and then one last thing on Drew Brees, and you're talking about it, like when your favorite player leaves, or you get Drew Brees leaves. When Brett Favre left Green Bay, it was hard for me. I'm a Green Bay fan, obviously. It's harder for us, but I think Brett Favre and Drew Brees, I hate to see him go, even though I'm not a fan of the Saints. He's that guy. He's one of those guys that you go, man, I'm going to miss him play, because I would turn on a game and go, oh, Drew Brees is playing. I'm going to watch this. And he was that kind of guy. There's some other guys, whatever, they're retiring, no big deal. But no, Drew Brees is that guy that you are going to miss watching on Sundays.
Yeah. I mean, one more thing.
Oh, sorry. My
no
bad.
No problem. I just want to say, because see, you and I both have experienced this as a fan. So you and I both seen our quarterbacks walk away because either the organization says, hey, we're done, or the player themselves says, I'm done. And in my case, when Elway left, I was like, this is going to be a very interesting number of years, and it definitely has been. And then with your situation, the interesting part is you already had a quarterback lying in ready to go. And so I think for the Saints fans and organization, or mostly fans, just don't expect something like what happened with Green Bay. That's kind of a rare
the flash in the
thing. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. And honestly, just with your expectations, just go in and thinking we're probably going to be not very good for a few years. And that's fine as long as you continue building the team. And then as you get better and better pieces in the draft, you will definitely be in a situation to get your next quarterback for sure. So it's a tough road, but if the loyalty is going to definitely be tested during that time. So just hang on there and be ready for any kind of draft pieces that may fall into your lap, in the next few years.
I got a buddy of mine. That's interesting you say that, because I got a buddy of mine. His name's Ryan Sims. I'm going to call him out here. He always texts me. He goes, "Man, if Love, the quarterback that we drafted and we got waiting, he's like, if he turns out to be a elite quarterback, I'm going to be mad, because he hates that we went from Favre to Rodgers. We didn't have that in between of trying to find in the bad years. I haven't had that yet with Green Bay. And it's very lucky, very hard to do. And we're hoping Love's the next guy. I don't know. I don't have any expectations. I'm just kind of taking in Aaron Rodgers' last couple years we got with him. So,
oh yeah.
But that's a good point. Good point, Jeff. Now we're going to jump into the headlines of the week, and we had to add something in here, Jeff. We had to bump something out. Deshaun Watson is in the headlines for the wrong reasons. Like we talked about his wanting out of Houston and his trading, and Houston refusing to trade him. This broke in last night or the night before last. Deshaun Watson is actually being accused and sued for sexual assault. It's a tough situation. Now, part of me wants to believe that it's not true and that this is just a smear job by the Houston organization, Texans, to get someone not to want to trade for him, to keep him there. Is this true? I don't want to demean any women that this may happen to. If it happened, then Deshaun Watson deserves to pay the crime. There's multiple women too, Jeff. There's 2 women that came out. There's talking about 5 of them. So this seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to take in. The interesting part of this is
timing.
The timing is really bad. Yeah. Timing is really bad. Everyone talks about Deshaun Watson, and anyone that knows him says this is not him. This is not Deshaun Watson. This is not this type of guy. 2, if you look at the lawyer that is representing these women, has an interesting history, Jeff. He's like a celebrity lawyer. Okay, he got the cops called on him because he has a tank in his front yard and refused to remove it. He's just interesting character.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this guy. He lives
next door to the old owner of the Texans, Bob McNair. He put billboards up in the city during the draft and trying to get McNair to draft Johnny Manziel when Johnny Manziel was in the draft. This guy loves the Houston Texans. So it seems odd to me that the year that the quarterback wants to leave and doesn't want to play for him anymore is the same year that this Houston Texan big, huge fan, if you got money to spend on billboards trying to get someone drafted, you're a Houston Texas fan. You used to be friends with the old owner of the team. I don't know if Bob McNair is still the owner, but it just seems weird. And then you add all that up together. They asked for a large sum of money up front to make this all go away. Deshaun Watson said no. Now it's all coming out. I'm leaning more towards that this is a total bogus story, and that the Houston Texans are using this to diminish Deshaun Watson's name and get him to stay there, because who wants to trade for a guy that has sexual assault accusations? Now, I don't think this will affect his trade value, and I don't think he plays another game. If anything, this is going to make him definitely not show up to camp. I just – and if it's true, if it turns out later it's true, I'll come on and apologize, because sexual assault is no joke, nothing to play with. But I just don't think this is a true story.
It's the timing's weird. The timing's interesting. I don't really understand why now. This could have happened months ago. This could have happened years ago. I'm not discrediting anybody in this situation whatsoever. I just would love to know more information about it. It seems like it's just kind of throwing out there. I do not trust a lot of things when it comes to Houston sports. Obviously, based on the hat that I'm wearing, I do not trust Houston sports organizations, but also the way that the Houston Texans have handled situations from here on out. JJ Watt wanted no part of this organization. Something's wrong within this organization. So if it's, if it seems odd and it seems out of character, I don't really understand where any of this is coming from. So the fact that the lawyer is somebody who's friends with the Texans organization is a little odd. That's a little smoke. And again, where there's smoke, there's fire. And this is going to be very interesting as it unfolds, because again, does this have any weight to it? And if it doesn't, then the Houston Texans organization is going to have egg on their face, and shame on them for putting somebody under the bus. If that didn't ever happen. I just find that to be odd. I think that they are very mad that Deshaun Watson wants no part of that organization. It just rightfully so, probably why they were very mad when JJ Watt left. It's just
they mutually agreed to let him
did
go.
they release JJ Watt, or did he?
JJ Watt. I believe they agreed to part way. They agreed to let him go somewhere else. I think it was a mutual agreement.
Okay. So I don't know. It just seems odd to me, and it seems strange. Just like the recent Von Miller situation. No charges. Okay. And that was it. Like, it was like, what happened? Like, what? No, nothing. It was just weird.
That's behind lock and key, sealed off, and
it's just like, okay, well, whatever that was, oh well, and Denver was waiting
from his career in Denver. I mean,
it did. They were waiting to restructure his contract, or if not, bring him back, his option. And they were waiting on that, and they got the final confirmation on it, and then they picked up the option. So, it's just, I don't know. It's weird. I'll say that much.
It seems there's too much fishiness not to sit back and go, this is kind of interesting. So,
and if it's true, then like Brian said, I do not, then fine. He needs to be dealt with. I think it's going to definitely affect his trade options for sure. Denver basically would be out of the mix on that. They're not going to deal with any kind of hoopla in the organization, especially now that Peyton is running the organization in terms of, day-to-day duties and stuff. So I don't think that organizations that don't deal with that, don't normally deal with nonsense, are going to put up with crap like that. So if it's true, then he's in trouble and there's something wrong with him. If it's not true, the organization is a lot more messed up than we thought.
Exactly. Number 2, Jeff. Number 2, Green Bay Packers reach an agreement with Aaron Jones, a 4-year contract worth $48 million, $12 million a year. He's the 6th highest paid running back. Now, I'm a Packer fan, and people are like, oh, you should be happy. I'm not happy with this, Jeff. I'm not. I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Jeff. One, well, first of all, I don't think you should pay the running back position. I don't think you should pay the running back a second contract. One, it's called position value. The running back is not a high priority because you can literally draft running backs between the 4th and 7th round and get the same amount of average yards per carry, just about the same productivity on a cheaper scale, Jeff. Not paying them millions, not making them the 6th highest paid running back, leaving you cap space and leaving you money to spend elsewhere on more positional values. We just let one of the best centers in the whole entire NFL go because we didn't have money to sign him. He went on to San Diego. Corey Linsley, I hope you have a fantastic career there. 2, running back position gets banged up. Doesn't last long. I believe Aaron Jones is 27 now, 28. Number 3, the running back position is reliant all on the offensive line. So if the offensive line is doing nothing and they're hurt, you see with Zeke Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
That offensive line goes, Aaron Jones goes nowhere. Now Aaron Jones can do a lot in the passing game. That's one thing I do like about him. I do like Aaron Jones. And I'll probably get an Aaron Jones jersey. I'm not saying he's a bad running back. I like him. I don't think we should have paid him. We have A.J. Dillon waiting. We had Jamal Williams, who came out of BYU, who was a guy that ran hard, and we loved him in Green Bay. One is the sad guy that he went and signed with the freaking Detroit Lions, so now I got to face this guy 2 times a year. I hate that because I like him. We could have kept him for cheaper and let Aaron Jones go. Let him walk. Drafted another running back and so many Green Bay fans love this move, Jeff. I don't like it at all. But in 2 years, we can get out of it. So that is kind of the good part of the deal. But I just don't like the signing. And my buddy's like, oh, you're wrong. If you're in the Super Bowl window, you need Aaron Jones. I think he's wrong. We need more help on the defense. We need more help. We need more wide receivers. We could get another offensive lineman. Right now we're in cap space hell, pretty much. So,
you could address some of those issues in the draft, I would assume. Maybe again, some wide receiver weapons. I don't know how deep the wide receiver class is this year, but
pretty deep again.
Okay, then there's some options there,
and we will. You just got to hit on those guys.
Yeah. And again, man, you might be able to get some free agents for cheap, man, honestly, on like 1-year deals. It seems like a lot of people teams are iffy on, maybe they had some injury history or something like that. It seems like they're getting 1-year deals. It seems like they're getting small deals. So,
and we brought back 2 guys we had to bring back, and that was Robert Tonyan, who's our tight end that broke out this year. He led the NFL in touchdown catches. And then Alan Lazard is another guy we had to bring back. We didn't sign him to deals, but we put a tag on him. We put a tag on him to where they could be offered another contract we'd have to match, but no one matched those. So we're going to keep those 2 guys. Those are 2 guys that are very valuable to our offense. And like I said, I like Aaron Jones. It's not that I don't. I just don't like paying the running back position. So,
but I think if they save their back end by only saying, "Oh, we can back out in 2 years," I think that's all right. I mean, what's a couple more years?
Yeah. I think and someone had an interesting theory about that is we pretty much only have 2 more years of Aaron Rodgers, and
that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
That's kind of what they want to end it on. So, I'm willing to, if Aaron Rodgers plays like he did this last year, Jeff, I'm willing to give him as much time as he needs. But I don't know. We'll see what happens because you know what happened with Favre here and going forward. So, an interesting signing, Jeff. 2 interesting signings, and this is The Washington football team signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to a 1-year deal, and the Chicago Bears. Oh, sorry, Jeff. I had to laugh so hard at the Chicago Bears. First of all, I hate the Bears. They're my hated rival. And I love how much they suck at running an organization. But, so the Chicago Bears, they signed Andy Dalton. There was this talk about going all in on Russell Wilson. And they offered, here's the deal they offered for Russ. 3 first-round picks, a third, and 2 starters. And the Seattle Seahawks said no. That's a pretty good offer, right? 3 first-round picks. But the Bears end up signing Andy Dalton. The Bears fans are miserable. They're mad. They're angry. I love it, Jeff. But my point is, you're in 2 positions of football, Jeff. You either have a quarterback or you're looking for a quarterback, and that is it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Washington football team just won their division. Now, yes, it was a crappy division. They have the best defense in that division, bar none. They have a good wide receiver. They just added a decent wide receiver as well. There's multiple reports that they refuse to give a big amount of offers for Watson or Russ. They didn't want to go all in. They got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who at times can be a really good quarterback and at times can be a really bad quarterback. You got Andy Dalton, Jeff. Played with the Cowboys last year. Did okay. Didn't have an offensive line. He's a stopgap quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay? These stopgap quarterbacks are crap for your team. You need a quarterback that either he's your future, or you need a guy that's going to suck so bad you get a first-round pick so high that you can draft your future. These stopgap quarterbacks that are going to make you 8-8 and not compete for a Super Bowl and not make you bad enough to actually draft a quarterback, you're wasting time. You're wasting your year. It's the worst place to be in sports is 8-8 in the middle. It's
Cowboys.
dumb. That's why I love it. Now, not only is it dumb, it's the Bears. Think about this, Jeff. Bears let Trubisky walk. They have Nick Foles, who they're paying more than their starter. It's going to be a battle between Nick Foles and Andy Dalton, and I'm believing Andy Dalton's probably going to win that battle. Start, see what else they got. So they're paying 2 quarterbacks. They're paying one $10 million, which could end up being 13 with incentives, and they're paying I think Nick Foles over 20 something. You're paying $30 million for 2 mediocre quarterbacks. It's so funny. But then you look at Washington. I would like Washington to be good. Their defense is good. I like Ron Rivera. I just don't understand on not going all in on trying to get an elite quarterback and settling for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, I think Deshaun Watson would have to agree to the trade.
Yes, he would. Yes,
okay.
He would.
So I don't see Deshaun Watson like, oh, yes, let's go to a team that has to start from zero because they traded for me and they gave up too many pieces. Well, no. But again, I think personally, it seems to me like if I was in Deshaun Watson's situation, I would want to go to a situation where I know no matter what, even if they trade for me, we're still competitive. And I don't think Washington would be. I mean, Go ahead.
Washington would be. Their defense is there. They need a quarterback. Hitting a couple pieces around. But I was going to say earlier when you said that is any team that trades for Deshaun Watson is going to have to give up.
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 first round. I mean, It's going to be an astronomical amount of first round
49ers.
Well, there's actually rumor, Jeff, now you said that. The teams that he wants to go to are not the first teams reported, like the Jets. Who wants to go play for the New York? Nobody, right?
I would.
The rumors are the 49ers and the Denver Broncos. So, but anyways.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I mean, I think what's weird is I don't know why the Browns did not go for the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback that now is I think he's a free agent too. What's his name? The guy with the mustache. Yeah. And I'm like, what is he? Is he with the Browns? I thought he was with Jacksonville.
He was with Jacksonville. I thought you said the Browns.
No, Jacksonville. But what I don't understand is he's like wouldn't cost jack, man. I think this contract's like 800 and something thousand. And I'm like, really? I mean, if you're going to have somebody, don't pay someone $10 million. Like, why would you not just go after somebody that's cheap and then just kind of deal with it? You know, and if you do well, then whatever. If you don't, then you're going to get a high pick.
The Washington has a quarterback, Tyler Heineke, who played last year for him. They could have just stuck with him and been bad again and got a high pick.
No, I'm talking about the Browns. I mean, not the Browns, the Bears. Sorry, the Bears.
The Bears, first of all, they should have just let Nick Foles take over and sign a backup quarterback like Gardner Minshew and have him be a backup because they're paying Foles $20 million. You don't want to pay Foles $20 million to have Andy Dalton come in here and for 1 year make Foles their backup. That would make no sense. And to me, Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Nick Foles.
I mean, if you think about the options that these people have, you have Sam Darnold, right? You had Fitzpatrick before, he went to Washington.
The Jets haven't done anything with Sam Darnold yet. He's not. You have to trade for him. He's not a free agent.
I can assure he's probably going to be a free agent at some point, or they're going to allow him to just go because they're going to be picking. They're going to be picking a quarterback in the draft.
Or they pull the Jets and they keep him and they sign like an offensive lineman.
or they trade with somebody. I wonder if somebody would trade up.
Yeah. The next year's quarterback class is garbage. There's one quarterback next year that has a first round comp on him. That's it. One. So this one has 4 or 5 first round drafted quarterbacks. Yeah. They're saying it could go 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5, and it'd be like the first time in history it's ever happened. But
it's an odd thing for the Bears. I think it's kind of dumb. Then Fitzpatrick, I like that idea for Washington, at least for now. I like the idea for Washington to do that. I think he's a very interesting person. I mean, he's going to be on and off sometimes, but I think overall, in order to just kind of put the Washington football team did a better job than the Bears did. I'll say that much.
Yes, I think so too. And I don't like a stopgap quarterback, period. But Ryan Fitzpatrick does have that ability to maybe win their division. Maybe it's hit or miss with him, but I think they're going to be like 8-8 and go from there. But then that's when you go, what are we doing for next season? And
but then the cap goes up, but I think a lot of this is also cap room. But the Bears doing it when you're having cap hits and issues with the cap because of COVID, it doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, and the thing too, you look at this, Jeff, and this is something they brought up today, is Russell Wilson. When they try to trade for Russell Wilson, you think 3 first-round draft picks is great, but the Bears draft picks are always between like 15 and 20. They're not high. They're not in the top 10. They're not number in the 3. So those first-round picks aren't all that great if, getting 3 of them. Because let me tell you what, Jeff, if Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson gets traded to the Bears, they are a very scary team at that point. They have a great roster. So thank God Seattle said no, because I don't want to face Russell Wilson twice a year with a really good defense and a good offense that they're missing a quarterback. Maybe Andy Dalton can come in and be better than I'm thinking, but I just don't see it. And I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to lead them to a Super Bowl. So they need to find their quarterback. And this is the GM and head coach's last opportunity to get it right. They will be out next year. So it all falls on this quarterback move. And there was questions about whether they're going to be back this year. They hung on him. They hung on to him, which I love. But, their careers are going to hang on this, and they're going to get fired, and, it'll be all
bad move, bad organizational move, Bears fans. Bad.
And I'm just laughing because I hate the Bears. The next one, Jeff, and I think it's kind of really our last one, the Patriots. What's gotten into Bill Belichick? He's never spent this amount of money. He signed 7 players in this offseason. He's spent about $200 million in 2 days. He spent $81 million in guaranteed. That's more guaranteed money than he spent in the last 10 years in free agency combined. He got a wide receiver, Aguilar, from the Raiders, who had a better year last year. He got Judon from the Ravens, who's a really good pass rusher. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, 2 good tight ends as well. Hunter Henry does have some injury issues. But to me, these moves, they bulked up on their defense, and they got 2 good tight ends. They brought back Cam Newton, which not a good idea. Cam Newton's garbage. They're going back to what they did when they had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. They had the 2 tight end system. They were going to play really good defense, and they were going to run the ball down your throat. And that's what that's what I think they're going to go back to, because they got these 2 tight ends that can block for you. They can both go out and run good routes. They're both good pass catchers. They're going to, I think that's the way they're going back to, because they know Cam Newton can't come out here and throw the ball downfield. It just is not going to happen. And then their defense, they're getting guys back that, last year they set out because of COVID. They had like 8 or 9 players set out because of COVID. They also signed the tight end that left, not tight end, the linebacker that went to Miami, and then they cut. It was last week when we talked about it. They cut him. We were kind of surprised that they cut him. Van Noy, he goes back to the Patriots and signed to them. So they're bulking up on their defense, and I think that's the way they're looking to get back to winning.
It seems like a red alert move. I think that it's to try to make sure that they build this team around Cam Newton to make the team. I don't think Bill Belichick likes the idea that Tom Brady won a championship without him. That really makes him frustrated. So I think it's just like a panic move, like hit the panic button. Let's just go. And if it works, I mean, genius move again. If it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of people questioning Bill Belichick now. It'll be very interesting. I don't think Cam Newton's worth a darn, but
I'm surprised he's signing back.
I am too. But it's weird. It's weird because if the Russell Wilson was available, man, that would have been very interesting to see a Patriots try to go after Russell Wilson. But yeah, I don't see this changing much on the Patriots. But again, if it works, Bill Belichick's going to seem like a genius, and if it doesn't, everyone's going to definitely be questioning what happened there. So we'll see.
I mean, we talk about this. People are, well, who's better? Who's going to win the argument? Tom Brady or Bill Belichick?
Tom Brady won this time. And if Bill Belichick whiffs on this deal, on this massive spending spree, man, no one's going to take him seriously right now. It's going to be like, what are you trying to do? Throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks? Like,
See, here's the thing. I don't agree. And I don't agree because, people want to say that Tom Brady won. Tom Brady would have won the argument if he went somewhere that had no players and he took them to the Super Bowl.
True.
He joined a stacked team. That's like if Bill Belichick left New England and went to the Green Bay Packers, or they had it as an elite quarterback and they won a championship. People, Bill Belichick did it without Tom Brady. Well, he did it with an elite quarterback. Tom Brady went to Tampa with a team that was stacked on defense. People came there because Tom Brady was there. Rob Gronkowski, what's his name? He brought in a running back, Leonard Fournette,
Yeah.
Antonio Brown. These are all pieces.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a winner and a loser of this just yet. I think people will try and put it that way, but Tom Brady doesn't. I mean, or Bill Belichick doesn't even have a quarterback. He has a heavy set running back as their quarterback that doesn't have an arm anymore. I just.
It's going to be weird this season because I think Tom Brady. I think Bill Belichick wants to see Cam Newton be a success because it means that his choice and decision to bring Cam Newton in there was a right decision. And ultimately, I think a lot of fans and I think a lot of people outside of that organization see it as maybe this is not going to work. And
I'm surprised.
And maybe the options weren't good around that outside of that situation. So Bill Belichick's just like, well, fine, come back. Well, what are we going to do?
I think that's what it was. I think it was he knows our system. Might as well bring him back for a year. And I do think that's why they signed the guys they did. In a league now where it's pass, we're going to score 40 points a game. He's going the opposite. I'm going to play really good defense. I'm going to move the ball, control the clock. And that is very effective if done right.
Yep.
So we'll see what works. I think that's where Bill Belichick wants to go with it, to change it up. He's always been doing things differently.
Yeah.
I would like to see – well, not that I would like to see it, but I think if they let go of Sam Darnold, I think Sam Darnold would be good there. I'm not ready to give up on Sam Darnold. He's played with the Jets his entire career. It's an organization that can't get out of its own way ever and doesn't do things correct. So, or they haven't done things correctly in winning. And I would like to see Sam Darnold would be a guy I think Bill Belichick could work with. So we'll see what happens after this year. I just think signing Cam Newton back is kind of giving up on this year, especially. But they could win, and last year they were 7-9. I mean, was that really that terrible with Cam Newton only throwing 9 touchdowns? And so they're getting players back. They're going to be surprisingly better than I think a lot of people think they are. I'm just not sitting here. There's just not a Super Bowl contender.
There's a lot of what ifs and maybes with this stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I know this is also in the headlines real quick. I just want to real quick throw this out here. Shaq Barrett is now assigned back with the Bucks. Yeah, so their defense is still intact. And that's it. Nothing's changing about this Bucks team, really. And get ready. So
Tom Brady restructured his contract. They gave him a contract extension to help keep Shaq Barrett there. So Tom
not coming back to the Broncos Nation. He's not coming back. Dang it.
They're keeping that team. I wouldn't want to leave that team either. If I got Tom Brady, we just won the Super Bowl. Let's run it back. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. Their division did get easier with Drew Brees retiring, and but we'll go from there. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. It's hard to call back-to-back championships, but they're going to be a tough team again with this defense. And Tom
good luck, Green Bay.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, that's all I got for this episode. So it's that time. What is in your locker this week?
Oh, my locker is full. So one thing I want to throw out there is Philip Lindsay is now entering free agency. The Broncos decided they were going to not bring him back. It's an odd move, but again, people that are Bronco fans should know this has kind of been in the works for a while. I think every Bronco fan is kind of preparing themselves for something like this with Philip Lindsay because the Broncos have always been so hesitant to sign him to a deal or extend his contract or whatever. And they've been constantly franchise tagging him. Then they'll bring in Melvin Gordon. And it's just kind of like, I wonder if they're just not thinking that this is going to last. And one thing that has plagued Philip Lindsay has been injuries. That's the one thing I think Broncos keep looking at. And I think maybe it's gotten progressively worse. each year. Especially last year, he got injured a bunch last year, and I think he was out for a very long extended period of time. Last year was the first time he didn't hit 1,000-yard mark because he was out for a while. So it sucks. It sucks because he's a homegrown guy. Like he's from here. He was raised here. He was a walk-on. The story is amazing. I do hope that somebody gives him an opportunity outside of the organization of the Denver Broncos, because I do think this guy deserves some more opportunities and to prove himself again. So that's one of the things in my locker. The other thing also is LeBron James is now part owner of the Boston Red Sox. I consider him now a traitor. He was a Yankee fan for a very long time, and now he is part of the evil organization on the other side of the Yankees. And so it's weird. That's a little odd to me. It was just kind of an odd. I mean, hey, he's always said he wanted to own a team. So, well, he's part owner, but he could always back out and leave if he wants to. But yeah, that's one thing. That's one of the things that has been in my mind, especially recently. And then outside of that, I've just been really busy working with this freelance situation, and I'm working on some artwork for this book. So I'm having some fun doing that. And yeah, that's what's in my locker. What's in your locker?
Oh, that was quite a bit, which is totally fine. There's not much in my locker this week. We got the house going up, and I know we're probably tired of hearing about that. But look, guys, I'm excited. We went over there. We had the roof on that's shingled up. We got the bathtubs in. We had the windows in. So it's coming. It's coming along. Hoping the weather is supposed to be nice this week, so they get more done. They got electrical in too, the electrical wires in and stuff. So that's coming along, and we take a weekly drive out there and kind of watch it kind of go up. So we actually got a meeting with the contract manager on Monday to go over the electrical part of it. So sorry, excuse me, the girls are getting pretty loud right now. What else is in my locker? My dad, he did have skin cancer. So,
oh wow, dude.
Yeah, he went in. They found out that it was skin cancer. He went in and they removed a bunch off of his elbow. So they're hoping they got that all. And he just had a procedure on his legs to open up the arteries because they were clogged.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they got all that taken care of. He's always had some type of thing, and so hopefully though that he gets better with that. There's no more cancer.
And I mean that, and not to diminish anything, but that's one that I think is manageable. So it's good that you can that's one is like, okay, that's if you're gonna have it, that's the one that is a little bit more manageable and a little bit, it's not gonna really mess anything up. So that's good.
Yeah, the skin cancer is one of the better, is probably the best cancer you
yeah.
Not that any cancer, knock on wood.
No.
But,
yeah.
So,
it's not like pancreatic or something. That's
right.
That's yeah.
So, other than that, that's about it. I mean, we're going to get back on schedule here. Hopefully this next week our podcast. So hopefully this next week we can get back on schedule. We've had life events happening and life happens. So we're sorry this one's a little later than usual. But hey, what else can you do, Jeff? Life happens. So.
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know. I know we say this at the end of every episode, but just go ahead and share this stuff around. Give us some likes and thumbs up and stuff like that. I'm gonna let you tag in on that one so you can kind of plug in all the little social platforms and stuff.
Yes. You can find us. We're on Twitter at Watson's Playbook. We're on Facebook at Watson's Playbook. And I'm on Gmail, You can email me if you guys ever want to reach out to us, get to know us a little bit better, maybe have a question you want to ask us, have a sports take you want to tell us or an opinion, let us know. You can email us. You can find us on Google or our Google Podcast. You can find us on Apple Music. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. I don't use Spotify, but we're on Spotify. We're everywhere. Anywhere you can find a podcast, pretty much, you can find Watson's Playbook here. If you like it, share it, please. And we thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all your shares. This is the video here goes on the YouTube channel. We're trying to share that as well and get that out there. Jeff has done a fantastic job of all the backgrounds and the artwork that he puts into it, and all this the intros and the outros and everything that goes into that. I know nothing about that. Jeff is the genius on that stuff, so he's done a fantastic job there. So please watch it, share it, and send it around, guys.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right, guys.